Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for meteorologist Frank Marzullo. Not too good to start off the week. On and off rain showers this afternoon. Chance of thunderstorms, high 56. Continuing falling temperatures tonight. Could see some light snow by dawn. No accumulation. Tonight's low 32. Currently the big one, it's 50. All right, it's really heating up in Wisconsin, and it's also heating up in Ohio with regard to the unions and public workers. Now, we had the big protests in Columbus last week. Of course, Wisconsin has just been crazy. There's speculation that it could be even bigger this week in Columbus. Well, they're still battling it out on Senate Bill 5, SB 5, and you can get information on that at my blog, 700WLW.com, brought to you by the American Trading Company. You can find the links and read the Senate bill for yourself. But there's going to be more and more protesters because now you've got these different groups, these different union groups around the country that are continuing to funnel people in support of it. You've got a lot of rational people in Ohio that recognize we've got to start doing some things differently. There are good cops, firefighters, and teachers, and we want them to be paid well if they do a good job, but it should be merit-based. These are the arguments that are going on this week. But because of all the protests that we've seen around the world, and certainly within Wisconsin, people are now saying, hey, if I go out in March, I could be on the TV. I could get loud, and that's kind of what we're seeing. So it could be pretty big this week. Last week in Columbus, there, of course, were people running around screaming on both sides. I have a clip of one teacher who was there saying how outrageous Senate Bill 5 is.
For children!
So you teach for the Columbus City Schools?
Yes.
How come you're not working today?
I took a personal day to be here.
So you took a personal day off?
Yes, and I actually teach at the high school that I graduated from. I give back to my community. I'm a sole believer in giving back.
And you think the people here that are Tea Party people, you think that they don't care about children?
I definitely feel that they don't care about children. I don't think that they care about teachers. I don't think that they care about...
I don't think, and she goes on and on underneath all the yelling. It just gets crazy after that. That Tea Party people or people that are protesting don't care about children, firefighters, cops, anything like that. It's the same old tired argument. They don't care about children. Wait a minute, we don't care about children? We have tripled the amount of spending on public education since the 1970s. Doubled it since 2001. In 10 years, we doubled it, and we don't care about... How much money do I have to spend before I care about children? How much do I have to spend before I care about cops and firefighters? How much money? How broke do we have to get before I finally care about children? No, that's just the red herring. That's just the thing they like to throw out there because, of course, everybody cares about children's, and it shuts down the argument. What, are you a child hater? How dare you? Do you not care about these poor middle-class workers? No, I want them to make more money if they're good. The problem is that's not what it's about. And wait a minute, how is it giving back? She says she gives back because she teaches at the high school she graduated from. How is that giving back? What, is she Mother Teresa there? I didn't realize she was working for free. That's giving back. When you give something of yourself, your time, your money, with nothing in exchange, that's giving back. To say she's getting paid. Didn't you realize the irony there? She's protesting for protection. To continue union protection of her wages, her benefits, that she doesn't want anybody mentioning it. You can't fire bad teachers. All of this collective bargaining stuff. She's there protesting, claiming other people don't care about children, and she's giving back. She doesn't even get the irony there. Apparently, when she went to that high school, she didn't learn what irony is. She's there protesting for herself, yet she's giving back to the students. All right, Jeff Birding, by the way, the Cincinnati City Council member, testified last week. I'm going to share some of what he had to say about Senate Bill 5. He's in favor of it. Details and your calls coming up next. 700 WLW. I was not arrested over the weekend at the airport. I was just deemed suspicious. Details at about 10:18. Coming up at 1:06 today. Jesus Saves God-onomics with Bill Cunningham. 1:06 today. 700 WLW. I'm going to share some thoughts that Jeff Birding has. This is a Democrat who testified for Senate Bill 5 last week. I'm going to share those coming up, but I want to get some of your calls. 513-749-7800, the big one. Josh, Northern Kentucky, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, sir. All right, you might get mad, but it's okay. I respect your opinion, too. I'm not really for the Tea Party. I switched from Democrat to Republican, and I like the Republican Party. It's just the Tea Party, in a sense, they got some people that are, I got a feeling it's going to split up the Republican Party, take votes away from the Republicans. That's what scares me about the Tea Party. So, I don't know. I wanted to call in on that. It's just I've seen things that, you're saying about the teacher. I've seen Tea Partiers do the same thing. I went to a protest, and I actually witnessed this. They were beating up somebody who was homosexual, and I was like, I do not want nothing a part of this.
Wait. Where did you see a Tea Party people beating up someone who's homosexual?
I was out in Missouri. It was a protest because, I'm not really supposed to say about the military. I just went out to see what they're about, and they started getting into it back and forth. Next thing you know, they're beating up this homosexual person.
You were there, or you saw it online?
No, I was there. I physically seen it with my eyes. I know that sounds wild. I know you're probably like, I doubt this, but you can look it up. There's videos of it.
I will certainly check. Listen, the problem is, Josh, in any group, Democrat, Republican, everybody, there are bad people.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I've never said there's not bad people. Now, as far as splitting the Republican Party, absolutely. My problem with it is, and this is the same argument when it comes to voting third party as well. We as Americans have gotten way too involved in the spectator sport of politics. I mean, it's great to be involved and knowledgeable, but we're all pundits too. Well, if this happens, the Republicans, whatever. And Josh, we need to get rid of some of that. And you and I need to say, hang on a second.
Say one last thing?
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
Okay.
You and I need to head to the polls and say, I want this person to represent me. That's what you and I need to start saying. And I'll give you a quick example. I have a friend at, this wasn't the last election. It was a few elections ago for president. And he said, did you go vote? And he said, nah, I didn't go vote. I said, why didn't you go vote? He said, well, I was going to vote for this person, and my wife was going to vote for the other person. So we figured we'd just cancel each other out so we didn't go. I said, that's not it. I said, you're supposed to go in and vote for who you want, regardless of whatever else. So, yes.
Yes, sir. Well, I just want the United States to go. I'm 25. I'm young, but I've been listening to you since I was about 4. My dad used to listen to it all the time, and he passed away last year. But I just want America to be great again. That's all I want. I just want to see America to where it used to stand, and it's saddening to me, and it hurts my feelings a lot. I wish everyone would just get on the ball.
The key is, Josh, right now, and I think a lot of people echo that, even people that are very opposed to some of the things I say. They want America to be great again. The way to do that is to stand on principle and ideology. People want to say, we need to come together and give it up. No. You need to demand excellence. Stand on principles of freedom and capitalism. That's the key. That's exactly what you do need to do. I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Jeff Birding. And then these are his words. This is official testimony that he gave last week in the Senate Insurance, Commerce, and Labor Committee on Senate Bill 5. And Senate Bill 5 would basically do away with collective bargaining in the state. It would severely hurt the ability of the unions to bargain collectively. It would take that down. It would stop things like step increases for teachers. It would do a lot of things. Now, I understand the unions certainly want to do what's best for themselves. I would too. I mean, given the opportunity, if the company says, hey, you want more time off? You want to make more money? And they're handing stuff out, of course I'm going to take it, and so is everybody else. I understand that each and every one of us going to work today does not want to have the company say, yeah, we're gonna require you to donate more to your retirement, to your health benefits. We're not going to pay you as much. Nobody wants those things. I understand that. That's the reason I'm not attacking any individual teacher, firefighter, or cop. I actually want you to make as much money as you're worth. But still to this day, nobody has been able to give me the reason that collective bargaining is good for the public when it comes to public employees. And it's certainly not good for the best teachers, cops, and firefighters among us. The best public employees among us. Because as much as you want to think you're protected, and you probably are if you were to screw up or something that goes wrong, it's really dampering what you can achieve and make. It doesn't allow people to soar, simply keeps some people down and brings others up. Makes everybody uniform. Here's what Jeff Birding had to say about it I'll read some excerpts from his testimony. I think it's pretty interesting. He said, I'm not here today to testify on all parts of the bill. I'm not familiar with the issues facing state government, prisons, colleges, or local school systems. My focus is on my experience over 5 years dealing in municipal government and to testify that change is needed. See, there's the key. I think most of us can recognize that if you have a $10 billion deficit in the state, some sort of change is needed. We need to come up with it. Now, you may say that it has nothing to do with public workers. I think it does, but you'd have to admit that some sort of change, that we've got to do something different, is needed. Jeff said management, this is his argument, and I would agree with at least some of it. Management's ability to control these labor costs is constrained by the fact that 90% of our labor costs, 90% of our labor costs are dictated by union contracts, primarily AFSCME, the Fraternal Order of Police, Local 48 Fire, and Code consisting of middle managers. These workers perform the important services that citizens rely on. I value them. However, unlike some of my council colleagues, I do not believe that my first responsibility as a city elected official is to our workers. I believe the first responsibility is to serve the taxpayers of Cincinnati. That is a really good point, because that point is important not just for what Jeff's responsibilities are, but also the governor's, the Senate, the House, the President, Congress. Is their first responsibility to some workers? Or is their first responsibility to all constituents? What is their responsibility? See, the president made this very passionate speech about Scott Walker in Wisconsin, the governor there, basically trying to bust the union and attacking middle-class people. And he said some very nice things about, I want you to remember, these people are our neighbors and our friends and family, meaning public workers. And he's right, of course. I don't think any of us had ever disputed that. But you know what? If you're a cop or a firefighter or a teacher, your friends are also not union or public employees. But we all pay for those services. So to say we are going to spend a whole lot of time protecting a very small group when they should be out there protecting themselves, when they should be out there basing their pay, their merit, and whatever on their performance, it's a little bit off. It's very one-sided. Jeff went on to say with his testimony, we must determine how to maintain needed services at a time when revenues are going down. Here are some numbers for you. He said, and demand for services is unabated and in many areas growing. In Cincinnati, union contracts have caused the city's personnel costs to grow at about 18% annually. Taxes are not going up at that same rate. In fact, they're going down. He added some headlines from the Inquirer, just to give you an idea of what's going on. One headline, $23.6 million in extra pay. Another, supervisors cash out generous comp time. He cited a specific article that was in the Inquirer, Captain's Overtime tab, $32,771. He said it shows how a police lieutenant with a balance of over 10,500 hours provides him an extra 5 years of pay with a value in excess of $430,000. These dollars are paid out of an hourly rate at a time of retirement, not at the rate they were earned. So if you collect those hours, you're going to be paid at the rate you retire. Most of us retire pretty close to the top of our game as far as salary goes, income goes. So at very least, why wouldn't you say we're going to pay those accrued hours based on the amount that you were paid when you earned them? Your hour today, if you make $100,000 a year, your hourly rate is going to be a lot more than 10 years ago when you made $50,000 a year. That's just one of the many flaws that he cites in this thing. All right, we'll get some more calls coming up. Also, the protests in Wisconsin had doctors handing out doctor's notes for those people who claimed they were sick but yet went to the protests. I'll tell you about that scam coming up. 700 WL. Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Let's get to the phone. Sean, Fort Thomas, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, just from my point of view, we're talking about schools, we're talking about unions.
Yeah.
from my point of view, I'm on the construction side. Now, I'm in skilled trades. I'm not going to really say which one because I don't need some union guy coming to my job site and screwing things up, right? All right, so let's talk about just efficiency and just money. The unions, now, my opinion is the unions had a really good place in this country, and they did some really great things, and they got some things changed that
absolutely
just helped us out tremendously. We would not be where we're at today if it wasn't for the unions. But unfortunately, now it's like they did such a good job. I believe that they have put themselves out of a job because now the only thing I see them doing is going to certain areas, like certain school districts, and saying, hey, you want a school, you're going to pay our guys this much. And that's where the prevailing wage comes into place. So if I'm doing a job and I need some guy just to be a laborer, just to kind of, just do some little work that really doesn't require much training, I got to pay him $25 an hour or close to it. That's ridiculous. The person does not deserve $25 an hour.
Well, Sean, I'm listen, if someone's worth $25, they're worth $100 an hour. I mean, that remains to be seen for the individual who is hiring them and saying, wow, your output is 10 times anyone else. Pay them $200, whatever it is. You're right about the unions. This is not the turn of the 20th century. This is not the 1900s and the Industrial Revolution. Yes, they did some good things when it came to true workplace safety and workers not being taken advantage of. But you're right. They kind of, in my opinion, put themselves out of business. Do we have laws against taking advantage of people when it comes to their pay? Of course. We have many levels of laws that say you have to pay people. We have minimum wage. We have all of these things. You are not going to be required to work for free. It's not going to happen. We have child labor laws. Again, many of these things came about because of the unions, but now we have those laws in place, and you even have a recourse. You can sue beyond that if someone does try to take advantage of you. We also have OSHA and many other levels of safety protections for you at work as well. Those things just aren't needed. The problem is the unions continue, and let me give you an example of how crazy they are. Let me give you an example. Up in Wisconsin, they had people protesting, and many teachers took the day off work. They called in sick. The schools had to close down. Here is what we had doctors out there that were pro-union people that were handing out slips so people could get away with taking off work and not really being sick. Here's a clip of Collage of some of the people explaining what's going on.
Some people up here are saying it's an illegal job action to not come into work today.
We're sick. We're sick and tired of Scott Walker.
By Saturday, some of the protesters were starting to become concerned about what could happen to them when they return to work.
We need a doctor's note for work. There are doctors on the corner signing notes.
So these are sick notes for work so that people can have excuses for work.
We're a group of doctors representing ourselves, not necessarily our workplaces, providing work excuses for teachers or other union members who need them.
We are here writing doctor's notes to support our public employees who have been mentally anguished and distressed this last week and needed to be out here for their mental health.
What's going on here?
We are writing sick notes for anybody who needs them.
Who's sick?
Well, everybody is sick of Scott Walker.
For the MacGyver incident.
That's the scam. They are openly scamming. Oh, anyone who's sick of Scott Walker. Really? You honestly don't see that is wrong? You honestly think you're being fair? You people that support the unions blindly through this, you really do not understand that. Is it a justification you're willing to do wrong because you think somebody has wronged you? So your philosophy is at best, I can imagine, 2 wrongs equal a right? See, when you start admitting that stuff like that is wrong, your argument's going to get a lot stronger with me. When you start calling out people like that, your argument's going to get a lot stronger. But as of now, you're just gaming the rest of us. So students from UC and other schools are going to take a stand to defend the right of Ohio's public workers, they say. It's going to happen this afternoon. How many of these students have Pell grants? How many of them get money from the public system? I'm guessing a whole lot of them. You see hemorrhaging money on top of it, but they're going to take a stand to continue to overspend. What they should be doing is taking a stand to cut some of this, to try to become fiscally responsible. But in their mind, they just see it's money from the government. It's free. The government just, prints money. Dun, 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 just printing money. Nobody ever has to pay for it. We'll see when they're 65, when all of this expense comes due. And now I see. You know what? When you stand up and start calling out the scams with the system, you're going to have a lot more credibility. Up in Wisconsin, there was a doctor. I'm going to play a clip from you. A doctor actually gives the how-to scam the system. Is this really a respectable doctor? I think the guy should have his license taken away for something like this. Here's his how-to.
That's for you. This is the actual. And what it says is, I was seen and evaluated by this thing. I saw and evaluated you, and that I'm excusing you due to a medical condition, nausea, sick of the whole thing, feeling stressed. Yeah, so sometimes people need to kind of get out of that bad situation, and the beneficial effects of being around other people, the support of community, that's very helpful and healthful.
Am I gonna get in trouble for this? Is it?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, if you missed work and you didn't have a work excuse, depending on what your contract is, you might have problems with that.
Okay.
But if you miss work and you have a medical excuse, at least as far as I understand, most contracts would say, well, you need a medical excuse if you're going to miss work.
Okay.
Well, you've got a medical excuse.
Okay, yeah.
Now, suppose they say, well, wait, we don't believe you. Well, it doesn't matter whether they believe you or not. I'm a licensed physician in the state, and I say that you should be having that time off work to recuperate from this terrible condition.
Okay.
Therefore,
so if they give me a hard time, I don't have to sit there and say, it's my private business, right?
Correct. And what they can do is that sheet, they could contact us, and if they contact us, say, yes, we did see that person. I saw that person. That's why I'm keeping on that log.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, and these are the dates, and that's all that I would ever say. So that's it.
How do you justify that? How do you justify that scam? I'll never understand it. No, I was not arrested at the airport over the weekend, but I was deemed suspicious. Details at 10:18 on the home of the Red, 700 WL.